Hey everyone, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates podcast. I'm JP. I'm here with Andrew and Jake today.
Oh
Two
my
games
god!
Oh wow, yeah. Jake is missing from video.
Too many people complained about me doing stuff without, saying anything for our viewer, and so now I was banished to the Shadow Realm.
Right, of course. So 2 games in, guys. How we feeling?
3 out of 4. Could be
Pretty
worse.
good.
I'm not feeling
Obviously, you're not feeling that great.
I'm not feeling that great.
Okay, I like that because maybe we can argue, and that's a lot more fun than last episode where we just all agreed on everything.
Did you? I didn't listen. I don't care about you guys.
I didn't listen either.
It's okay. They did. I put up there.
Yeah, no, I'm not too happy with how things looked.
All right. Do you want to overall thoughts for game by game, or do you want to jump right into just the whole thing together?
I was just going to start with the first game.
Okay, that's fine.
I thought we were pretty ugly, especially in the first. Thought we started out super slow. I thought the Nico line was invisible the entire time. Other than that, I have no real strong opinions of it.
I have a bunch of notes down from the home opener. I kind of on the way home I wrote some things down, but overall Vitek was really good. He's probably the main reason why we won the game. Other than the Red Wings kind of whiffing on 2 or 3 chances, like with literal wide open nets in the early of the game. I should have been down 2 or 3. Alex Holtz was a huge talking point coming into the season. I thought he didn't get on the score sheet, but I thought he was maybe one of the best forwards on opening night. He also did some zone entries, which is definitely not his game, but I was pleasantly surprised by that. Yeah, and then the obvious Jack's MVP campaign's just underway. He got off the hot start with the goal from behind the net, and then the agility on the second one to put us up. I think it was 2-1 at the time. So, I mean, overall pace of play wasn't great, but I know a bunch of us, like everyone who's on the pod, is a process over results kind of guy. But the process was ugly. But for where we're at in the team's arc, I'm happy with the results because I know the process is probably going to figure itself out one way or another.
Yeah, so a couple points. I'd say I mostly agree with Andrew with one linguistics caveat of I think the reason we didn't lose was Vanacek, but the reason we won was Jack.
That's fair. I know. I
can't argue with that.
Jack has hard carried the offense through 2 games. And then I'll say, JP, with you being upset at our game as a whole, with a lot of guys slumping that we don't necessarily expect to, the fact that we still took 3 out of 4 actually has me optimistic.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Can't really argue with that.
Yeah, we know Jack is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, but I'll be honest, I don't maybe expect him to average 2.5 points a game all season. Maybe, probably not, but I expect him to go over a point per game, right? I think we all are very confident in over a point per game for Jack. So I really don't see him, even if he slumps away a game or 2, even 3, he's going to make up for that in spades like he's already started this season.
Yeah.
And I think when what's supposed to be our, rocket line of Nico Timo plus whoever it ends up being, right now it seemingly is going to be Palat, was Mercer, and we've both seen it with Holtz, but whoever that ends up being the most long-term, or if it's just fit and plug all season, the fact that Jack's line, even when Bratt wasn't playing the best the first game, Jack still popped off. And then when Bratt did find his footing here in the second game, both of them were like, yeah, we'll just do all the offense with us too. That's fine. And then Dougie's still looking solid. So I kind of said this leading into the games. We have so much firepower that even if a couple of the top guns are slumping, we should have enough to make up for that and the other guys carrying the weight in those games.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what really good teams do too, is, even when they don't play well, they still win, just fueled by high-end firepower.
Exactly. And so that's what has me feeling confident, because we really have not looked our best. And even looking, I don't know, maybe, what would you say? This has been like what 60%. If you want to be
Yeah.
semi-optimistic on it, like
If
this is our team
that,
firing
yeah.
at
I don't
60.
even know if it's at 60%.
I'm counting this with Jack and
Okay.
Brat looking like Jack looking MVP level is hard carrying that number.
Right.
But even then, if Nico and Timo even slightly figure this out soon, that feels really good. And the defense also, on the whole, outside of I would say Siegs and Dougie, who makes the most sense for who should be playing the best. Two guys that have been playing together now for over a full season, both returning guys to the system, yada, yada, yada. They don't really have much adjustment. They should just be firing in all cylinders for the most part. And even then, I don't think they've been playing their absolute best outside of Dougie producing.
No, I think they had a poor game against Arizona.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to say, I really liked
I mean, everyone
Siegenthaler in the first game. I thought
Not so much the
against
second.
Arizona, he was not good. Yeah.
Yes, no, I
Maybe.
will agree there. So yeah, that has me feeling optimistic. I don't see Jack falling off. I even Brat going between games 1 and 2. If we kind of get that yo-yo effect with him, that's still plenty good enough for what he's being paid and what we need from him. And really, we all know there's no way Nico and Timo are this for 82 games, right? There's just
Hopefully not.
no, there's no way. You're a stats guy. You look at the analytics.
No, I know.
There's years of data showing that these guys and one thing, for anyone that didn't watch the morning show on it, Timo last year, right? I would say on the whole, we would say it was a pretty good year for him, even being in San Jose.
Yeah,
Had 2 points in his first 9 games. Didn't score his first goal till the 10th game, and he still scored over 40. Over 40, right? He had 41, or he hit just 40.
I thought he hit exactly 40.
I think.
Yeah, so 40 goals, whatever. Still hit 40.
Same difference. Yeah.
Didn't score the first one till 10 games in, and had nobody to work with. Now, that being said, he doesn't look to be on the absolute top power play unit. He's not the guy, so I can definitely see the goals taking a step back because of that. But he should still be a pretty safe 30-goal guy. So,
I mean, for what you're paying from him, he's through 2 games. He's a 30.6% expected goal share, which is not good. Obviously, that's really bad.
Yeah.
I know he's playing a lot of left wing right now, and line rushes this morning. Palat's on the right side. I don't really agree with that. I think a lot of his time last year and in San Jose was on the right, where he was like a 57% share of goals or higher, and now he's on the left.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Last year, I thought he was on the left side too, and I don't know if that affected his statistical profile.
I think in the playoffs a little bit when it was Mercer with him and Jack. He was on the left and Mercer was on the right, but I think when he played with Nico, it was more on the right. I mean, I could be forgetting, but
Right.
that's just the note that I noticed. I know a lot of his success comes from off the right, and he's playing left currently and
Right.
very clearly not going very well.
I think as a whole, that's kind of been our worst line, no doubt about it. Right.
Yeah, he's the second worst forward, and the only one worse is Nate, and he's only played 1 game,
Right.
but he was way worse. So
Right.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned about it. I mean, if he feels more natural on the right, I'm sure that would be communicated to the coaches. If he feels fine on the left, or they think that's the best usage of him, it's still only 2 games. He can get flipped around. I'm not worried about which wing he's on, really. As far as his expected goals, he's definitely not been that great. And even that being said, he's definitely had some chances, but definitely nowhere near as many as you would expect for a line with him and Nico on it.
Right.
That being said, he's played his entire career outside of a handful of games now with San Jose. He was used to being the guy there. And when you have that comfortability within an organization, even when new guys come in, your role and spot within that team and within your line. Even if you're playing with the different line mates, there's still that comfortability factor. So I am giving Timo a decent amount of runway to start this year. I'm not even talking just 10 games. I'm probably talking a good 20, 21 games. I'm not going to say it's going to take him 21 games to score a goal or something, all right? But, for him to start showing that Timo level of dominance of tilting the ice that we've seen out of him, because, again, he was pretty much the play driver, the trigger man for his line, and he put himself into that, years and years in San Jose. He's now on a line with a guy who is arguably just as good, if not better, of a driver with Nico. So them two figuring out exactly who's handling the bulk or what's our set plays in transition with us two plus presumably more of a passenger third guy with them. What is our transition placed together? Who's more of the behind the net guy? Because both of them, I think, were the behind the net guy on their lines now for years.
Yeah.
They both
You
can
don't
play that type of
typically
game for
need
sure.
both of them on that line doing that.
Right.
No.
So I think
kinda
it's going
saw
to take
that.
them. It's going to take them a little bit to truly adjust, and I'm okay with a little bit of growing pains for them, especially early on here. Especially when we're going to have Jack, basically full on carrying the offense on his own. You can kind of let those growing pains happen. So, yeah, no argument. Timo's been one of, if not our worst forward, especially for what we expect from him. But I don't think he needs to be. I don't think it's anything to worry about.
No, I don't think it's anything to worry about, but I I feel this way, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. If you are the second highest paid player on the team, yes, it's only 2 games, but you would like to see a little bit more. Again, you don't want to overreact too soon because it's only 2 games in, and you have 3 or 4 points, but you're probably expected to be the second best forward on the team, even though Nico might end up with more points because Timo's more of a goal scorer, not much of an assister. But you'd like to see a little bit more for sure. But overreaction, no.
Yeah, if Timo's outside of the top 5 at the end of the season for points, maybe we can have a discussion at that point. But I don't care if he's even middle of the pack, 20 games in, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not super concerned about it yet. He definitely has not looked good. That line has definitely not looked good. But like throughout the course of a season, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But for the immediate future, I am concerned about it.
Right, it's not a problem because, like we talked about last episode, and Jake alluded to it earlier. It's like if one line's going, you can afford one line
Right.
to not be on it, which is again not ideal. And obviously, you want them clicking way down, way further down the line in the playoffs. But for now, it's okay. It's fine.
Mhm.
Like you're getting by 3 or 4 points. Like you're good. And they have multiple days of practice next week because they want to play twice next week. So a little bit more time in practice to get more acclimated with whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah, I did think they were generally a little bit, at least to my eye test. I don't think the statistics actually back this up, but I did think they were a little bit more in sync against the Coyotes than they were in Detroit, or against Detroit. Again, I
right.
don't think the analytics back that up, but I think
They
they were
definitely
getting
don't.
a little bit more comfortable together.
Which is to be expected. Like,
Right.
yeah, it'll take a little bit more time.
Yeah,
And again, a long season, whatever, they'll get used to it. But yeah,
I think the other part of it is, and this is me really digging deep and trying to read between some lines, straight up. So maybe a little tinfoily, but I think Holtz, I think, had a pretty good preseason, right? I think Mercer was bumped up with Nico to have some already built-in chemistry to then let Timo get better acclimated, because we also know Timo struggled in preseason as well. Like even with Holzer that we think isolated played pretty well. That line as a whole produced a few goals, but definitely was nowhere near as dominant as you would expect a Nico Timo line to be, even in preseason. You could see that there was some synergy issues and them still trying to figure it out. I could see Mercer getting bumped up there to be with Nico, so that there was 2 guys that had played a decent amount from the previous season together. Gives Timo a chance to kind of acclimate. And then I think that really fell apart because Mercer definitely did not look like the Mercer we know. And again, I think it might have been a bit more of it's 3 guys that just weren't quite sure what the other ones wanted to do within the line.
yeah. I know I'm kind of a stats guy, but and that Timo is again has the worst statistical profile so far of any forwards. But I thought that Mercer looked completely lost the entire time.
yeah, that's not Mercer's game yet. He's like, there's this like notion that he's like great play driver and like great two-way. He's not there
No.
yet. That's not his game. It's like Nico getting the defensive love before he was actually a Selkie finalist.
Right.
Like he's not there yet. And I don't know if I love the third line. We'll get into lines later with him, Holland, Holtz. I don't know how I feel about that. Like we'll see how it works out. But
Yeah, I got my demons with that one.
yeah, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, no, I don't. Mercer optically didn't look that great. I agree with that.
Yeah, so when that whole line, you got Nico being like disastrous in the face-off circle, which we're not very accustomed to. And then you got two wingers who just are all out of sync, and Nico's not playing his absolute best either. You can kind of see why it did not feel great. And I think even all that being said, I still think were they even on the ice for a goal against at all? No,
I don't know,
right?
but they.
I
don't know.
don't
They-
think so,
They weren't
no.
doing.
No.
I don't know, but they weren't doing. They weren't
Well-
doing anything good while they were out there.
We also only gave up one 5v5 goal in these two games.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
again,
Yeah.
it's like we're gonna get really nitpicky because we have such high expectations on this team given the talent on it. But it's like we gave up one 5-on-5 goal in two games, plus an overtime side, obviously not 5-on-5, but yeah, one 5-on-5 goal in two games. Everything else has been desynced, whether it was pulled goalie type 6-on-4 situation, 5-on-4 penalty kills, all that is I'll take one 5-on-5 goal against. So yeah, we can nitpick across but all their games, tearing them apart, but I really don't think it's more so just our expectations are so high, and we're looking for things to be like, where are we that best team in the league?
Yeah.
And it's that line finding its game, and then everything else. Well, and then the defense needs to also kind of figure it out.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe we want to move into the defense a little bit before we go into the new forward lines.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely could. I think Brendan Smith needs to sit for Colin Miller. I think that needs to be step one.
Yeah, I said I said that on the first episode before the season started. It was like
Yeah.
he could very well play himself out of the rotation with a stupid penalty or whatever. Took a stupid penalty late in Arizona, a game where you didn't deserve to win and you were in position to do so. Again, I don't know if I agree with the call. I forget if it was like a trip, interference, cross-checking, whatever. I know it was like right on the Devils' blue line, and he got caught by Coyote.
Yeah.
And then Logan Cooley, credit to him on the power play. That was a disgusting pass to set up Schmaltz. So
That kid's going to be, just as an aside, that kid's going to be so fucking good.
Yeah, we don't have to. We don't have to
No,
go into
dude,
that
I'm
call.
absolutely milking Cooley while I can, dude. He's going to be so good.
Yeah, he had a really strong game. But yeah, I know Miller is in the doghouse with a lot of people, and rightfully so. I guess he didn't have the strongest preseason, but again, like we alluded to, like the Devils having it's like a really weird defensive system. He's definitely better than Brendan Smith. Brendan Smith, for all his faults, is a decent defender off the rush, which is how the Devils play. So I can see why he's playing. And again, Ruff, I think, just likes him a lot. And I guess pairing him, like the veteran, with Luke, I guess, is another thing that they like to look at. But I'd probably have Colin Miller playing. You trade for him, you gave up an asset, you might as well try and figure it out with him.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying over and over I would prefer Miller over Smith. I also completely understand having a guy that is still acclimating to the system. I really, your 6D shouldn't be make or break or anything. And to be honest, I thought Smith had one of the better games of our defensemen outside of the penalty. But I feel like we say that a lot with Smith, where it's like, wow, he's actually doing pretty good. He threw a nice hit, good body check, displacing guys from the puck. Can actually not drive offense, but at least seems decent enough for as a bottom pairing D-man. And then he takes the worst penalty, not even the worst penalty, but takes a penalty, and of course he gets scored against.
Right.
It's the timing of it, which makes it hurt a lot worse. Like if it's like you're up 2-1 and it's like the middle of the second and they score, it's like, okay, you have the entire game, but it's like you seemingly have the game in the bag for how in the bag a game could be with like 6 minutes left or however long was left in the game. Again, a game you didn't deserve to win, but you were in the position to do so, and then you do that, and then they score. And then he was out there late in the game again too. He was he closed the game with ball in the Detroit game. I don't know where Marino is or Siegenthaler is closing out these games, but I definitely don't want Brendan Smith doing that. I want Colin Miller in there. I don't know what it's going to take at this point. Maybe, like I said earlier, we have a long week of practice that they can get him more acclimated. Maybe you see him come in on their game. I don't think. Well, I mean, based on line rushes this morning, Miller's not going to check in. It looks like it's going to be Luke and Smith again. But
right,
yeah.
I also kind of have a problem with that. I know they looked good in preseason, but I think Ball needs to go back to the third pair, and I think Luke needs a little bit more time on ice.
Okay,
next to Marino.
Right. So sorry, just the profile of
Yeah,
Smith.
yeah.
He's at 34% goal share at 5-on-5, so it's not even like he's playing that well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on bumping Luke up. I think it was a no-brainer to put Ball there with
Yeah.
the way he played in preseason.
Yeah.
Like you just had to,
Yeah.
you had to do it. And I think now coming into the season, he hasn't been as like dominant as he was, and he's not been like awful, right? But it's just he was legitimately looking like a top line defenseman
Yeah.
in the preseason. So I was like, okay, yeah, no, put on the second pair. But no, the defense needs some sort of shakeup. Again, it's only 2 games, but this is where you experiment. Ruff even said it in the post game practice. It's early. This is the time to really experiment, and it's rough. He's going to experiment all season with lines anyway. But I'd like to see Luke bumped up. I also don't think it's the biggest disaster if he's not. I would like to see Miller this next game, but I'm sure it's going to be Smith. Then, like Andrew was saying, a bit more extended practice time. And then I would really like to see Miller after that, unless Smith is like a world beater in this last game, which I don't expect, but
Right.
maybe. So, yeah, I think the defense needs a shakeup. I'd like to see Miller brought in. I mean, at least we got Dougie doing Dougie things. That has been mwah to watch.
Yep.
That's been great. And otherwise, again, only one 5-on-5 goal against. How much am I really going to actually complain? Sure, the advanced analytics are not the best, are as good as we are used to. Basically, always out shooting every other team and being like, 55 plus Corsi for like almost every game last year.
Pretty much.
So I'm fine with it. We got a decent amount of new faces. It's basically a new face on every line, right? Actually, outside of Siegs and Dougie, and then arguably Ball, but I don't think he ever played with Marino last year.
No. Yeah,
It is technically a new face on every line, right? Tyler, I'm counting Timo as essentially a new face.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, for the sake.
Slight stretch maybe, but then, and then I think our fourth line has been fine for a fourth line.
I thought Nosek was surprisingly really good.
Yeah, me too. I have no problem.
Yeah, I
with
thought
the
he had
fourth
his
line.
best couple games in the regular season. I didn't think he was very good preseason. I think he's had his
Yeah.
best 2 games regular season. Yes. Do you guys want to talk then about or did you guys want to go over anything else specific from the games before we go into practice lines from today?
Crowd was electric. Crowd was
Well,
fun.
who was ultra?
The crowd?
Oh,
Oh, crowd. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that home opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least
home
that's where
opener.
I was at. The atmosphere before the game, the whole beer alleyway, beer garden, whatever you want to call it, is awesome. Awesome.
I missed out on that one.
I got there late because of my train. My
For
train was
those who haven't gone, I'm assuming they're going to do this for every home game. Is my understanding. It wasn't just a home opener thing. Both American Whiskey and Reds have tables set up out front. Now, this might have been a home opener only thing, but they also had basically outdoor bars that had like very minimal stock, but outside spots where you can grab stuff. And it was the entire street corner and everything set up. Basically like a half city block almost, where you could just be outside and drink and be inside and drink and outside and eat. And it was just everyone commingling together. And it's just Devils jerseys basically everywhere. And it was awesome. Atmosphere and time. And then obviously inside sold out arena for the home opener was brazy.
Yeah, it was nuts, and the crowd was phenomenal.
Yeah, the crowd was unreal. Jack already got his first MVP chance of the season.
Yeah.
And it was like after his second goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crowd was great. If you were there on Thursday, good job.
Yeah.
I did this on my morning show, but shout out to the guy who recognized me
Yeah, that was crazy.
literally before I even walked into the square. Like literally set my first step on the sidewalk, arriving around the arena. Guy points me down and goes, "Hey, I recognize you from the podcast and your morning show." I'm like, "What?" For the record, nobody else said anything. It was just literally the first guy that saw me, and then nobody else after that. But it was still pretty cool.
Hey, I said I recognized you.
Yeah, you don't count.
Huh, well, that's fair. I think I skeeved Andrew out when I first saw him at the game.
you did. Yeah, you did. So I sat in 111. I was at the very top of the section, and JP I think was like 3 or 4 rows in front of me. and I knew he was in the arena because I think he said he saw Jake like a little bit earlier. He was like texting their group or whatever, and I was just sitting there like mind my own business, looking at my phone, trying to refresh Twitter, whatever, and then out of nowhere, just behind me, if you're on YouTube, you'll see, but like he like went like this with his hands, like basically like scratched my head, like, and I was like, what? And I turned on like, oh my god, it's you. I thought it was like some completely random person. If we didn't meet like 2 years ago or whatever and didn't do this, but we like knew who each other were, I'd be like, dude, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly the reaction I was hoping for too.
Yeah, no, but it was good to see you. Good to see Jake too.
Yeah, it's good
we
to see
met
the
up.
boys.
Yeah, we met up outside in the beer alleyway or whatever, but vibes were really good. Glad that we came out with the win. Definitely didn't look like we were going to, but
Yeah,
the boys pulled out. The boys pulled out for us.
yeah.
I mean,
about-
again, another positive. Just to finish up on the games a little bit more. Two comeback, almost 2 victories.
Yeah,
Down 1 goal and then down 2 goals, and now obviously Jack hard carried that, but that's what you get from your superstar, right? I mean, it's not like the Leafs are complaining about back-to-back hat tricks from Matthews. So
A real positive spin you can put on to, well, one really bad performance and one subpar performance is that you had 304 points, and a huge question mark coming into the season was goaltending, and the goaltending was the reason why you probably got 2 more points than you probably should have
Yeah.
at minimum. Vanchuk was good. I thought Schmidt was good.
I thought Vanacek was really, really good. Schmid was
good.
Schmid was a little bit. I think he saved like less than 1 goal above expected, if that. But like, that's all we really need.
Yeah.
You know, baseline just average goaltending, and then the occasional goalie steps up, takes control, and gives us 2 points.
Yeah, did the scrap work like right before the season starts. Like if Vanchuk is like slightly below average, like -0.99 or higher, like we win like basically almost every game.
Yeah.
And he was better than that, so we won. So
Right.
he was
yeah,
good.
and we probably win the Schmid game if Vejmelka wasn't insane.
Yeah, he
Mo-
made a few giant saves.
The Arizona game was a tough one because I had 3 Coyotes playing on my fantasy team. I had Vemelka, Schmaltz, and then I picked someone up for hits and blocks. I have Nick Schmaltz, and he scored a power play goal at the end. I was like,
It's your
that's
fault.
bad.
It's
I
your
was like,
fault.
I was like, that's bad, but like, if we come up with the victory at the end, like, I'll be good. But
yeah, dude, that opening game was so amazing for me. Jack Hughes on the fantasy team and DeBrincat.
yeah,
I got Timo.
Yeah.
That's I have Timo.
Yeah, who left you with that guy? No, you left you with that. I take credit for anything good on your team. You're all the best. Yeah. So I guess I don't really have too much else from the games. We kind of touched on each of the lines. Goalies were great. Defense, meh.
work to be done for sure.
And Jack Hughes is legitimate MVP conversation right now. Although Austin Matthews probably has the leg up on everyone at the moment. But
And then Gino.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
Gino.
No, I mean I don't see him continuing that. I can see Austin Matthews continuing this though. But
246 goals.
yeah, no, he's going to pot 200 this year, dude. He's going to take a step back, only get 200 goals this year.
Right.
All right, lines from today. It was only one swap technically, right? So
Yeah, Palat swapped up with Mercer on the first line, so it's Meyer, Nico, Palat. The TBH line stays the same, and then Mercer, Holla, and Holtz. And then Nosek is day to day. Doesn't look like he's playing tomorrow. Maybe we'll see in the morning, but
right, yeah, probably
For
Lazar
now-
and Nosek for the
yeah,
injury.
which is so it'd be Lazar, Mikey, and Nate. Just a little note I looked up before we started. Mercer and Holla played about like 270 minutes last year, and they were just above break even on the expected goal share. So take that for what
Honestly,
you know. That's
My Lindy line blender mind was working at it after the loss, and I was like, what craziness could he pull that would still somewhat make sense, but I could slightly meme about, but it didn't come fully to fruition. But I thought we were going to get a Palat Nico, which we got, but then Mercer
I think I would have liked that better.
Interesting.
line. And no, I'm sorry. No. I take that back. Even crazier. It was going to be Palat, Nico, Holla. Flip
Oh.
Mercer to center with Timo and Holtz. for the true Lindy line blender of splitting up Nico Timo.
I would have hated that so much.
Dude, I hate that.
Nico would have been the line driver. Timo was the line driver. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't have liked it. Like I said, I want to give Nico and Timo a ton of runway. But I was like, what could he do? And then we could have had our true Nico is a 3C meme. But not yet, anyway. Not yet.
I really wanted to see Holtz on that top line.
Yeah, I'm
Badly.
just happy he didn't
Yep.
get taken out because there was some discourse around that. It's like, oh, he's just gonna take him out, and I was like, I could probably see it considering he doesn't like him, but it's good to see him stick in there because I do think he had a strong couple games, even though he didn't get on the score sheet.
I agree. I thought he was really, really good. He probably deserves the top line spot over Meyer right now, which is painful to say.
I think he should have had at least a point or two, just based on high danger chances either be through him or that he set up. And it really felt like he was a step ahead of Hala and Palat a lot. Like he was thinking the game quicker and was handling it quicker than both of them. So interesting. I agree. If you listen to the morning show at all, Holtz with Mercer would have been my preferred line mix up. Just switching those guys. Palat instead for Mercer. Fine, I guess. Maybe that's Lindy telling Nico and Timo, hey, don't worry so much about the wall grind battles below the net and at the mid boards. But to me, it's still just another 3 guys that are going to probably have to figure it out on who's filling in kind of their roles within that line. We've also seen Mercer and Holtz together before. I believe really the only time was like the prospect challenge though.
Yeah.
And that was with Mercer at center and they look dynamo together. But now it's Mercer at the wing with Hala at center and them two. So I'm intrigued by that line. I think
you can have at least one non-natural left winger playing left wing because Hala's on that line. So it is what it is. The more I look at it though, the less I hate it.
I don't
think
mind the
it'd be
third
fun.
line as much as I mind the first line.
agreed. I actually think Hala, Mercer, Holtz has potential of being a really great third line.
Yeah.
I just want Palat and Myers flipped. That's all I really want. Palat on the right.
Well, like
and
what
Myers on the
wing
left.
they're playing.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
said,
really think it makes that much of a difference.
Whatever.
Like
on
it might, but like I don't,
Minimal impact. Sure. Okay, that's fair.
I just think it's gonna be like I think that line is not that they're slow players, but I just feel like they're gonna play a type of game that the Devils shouldn't be playing. Where
With plenty
I
of
feel like they're gonna,
constraints,
I feel like they're gonna kind of resort to dump and chase because they are good players on the boards. And they all definitely know that, but I feel like that's not the kind of system that works best for, under Lindy.
That's
I
fair.
really think maybe this was I don't know about you guys, but I actually don't trust my eye test as much when I'm at a game versus when I'm home watching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the opposite.
So I am 50-50 here, right? Two game sample with one being at the game. It did not feel like Timo had a ton of zone entries through him,
He didn't.
right? Not at all, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know the inner workings or what him and Nico determined to be the best for them, but I personally think that line should drive through Timo on the transition and let Nico get to work in zone. I'm good with Nico doing the work in zone, but let the transition go through Timo. And then obviously, Nico there is the fallback if they are hard matching Timo on transition or whatever, but I think he should handle the puck a lot more than he has been, at least through these 2 games.
That'll come in time more because Jack and Brett, you kind of see them work off each other really well, and then Nico and Meyer eventually will be the same, not to the same effect as the other two, because the other two are like 2 of the best in the league, but Nico and Meyer are definitely more than capable of doing that. But that is something that'll probably just work itself out over time. So it's stay the course. Don't rip them away each other. Don't rip them away from each other because it will work, and you're gonna need them to work. So
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I don't know. I feel like the reason that they kept Timo and Jack separate are because they both kind of need to be the guy on their lines, and Timo's absolutely not being the guy on his line right now. And that is probably why he's having some level of struggle.
Yep, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, to touch on just the Palat with Nico Timo a bit more, I can see it working. Just guys that will grind away at him, but yeah, it's not really my preferred. It it's probably going to end up doing well because that's
Yeah.
hockey.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's purely a move for the Florida game.
I
If you
was
guys
about to
want
say
to
the
kind of
same.
transition over to
The
that,
same thing there. Yeah.
where that's a bit more put together to stack up against probably the Matt Kachuk line.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see Nico's line matchup against Kachuk's line.
Which makes sense.
Let me pull up their lines really quick.
I think it's it was Kachuk, Bennett, Reinhardt. I think it's
Bennett's
Kachuk,
out, right?
Reinhardt, and like Luosterainen or something.
Yeah,
No,
Bennett's
so
out right now. So
yeah, so San Ben's day to day. I can just run through their lines really quick. So it's Verhaeghe, Barkov, Rodriguez. Line 2 is Samoskevich, Luosterainen, Kachuk. Line 3, Nick Cousins, Anton Lundell, Sam Reinhart.
Ew.
Line 4, Lomberg, Stenlund, Lawrence. And then on defense, Forsling, Ekman Larson, Mikola Kulikov, and then Mahura and Bolinskis. I don't know.
I hate their second line.
I mean, Samoskevich is a rookie, and he actually looks pretty good so far. I do think most Ryan's a bit underrated, but I'd probably swing up Lundell and Reinhardt to play
Yeah.
with Kachuk.
Load up the top six. I don't know.
I also
man.
love Evan Rodriguez playing first line and gave 3 points against the Jets. He's
Yeah.
so good. I love Rodriguez.
Love you, Rod.
But yeah, so probably the Nico line. The way they have it matched up, maybe you see Nico's line against the Barkov line, and then you maybe match Jack up against Luosterainen and Samoskevich, like two younger guys who you can maybe get them playing more defense if they're going to play with Kachuk. That could be something that could work out pretty well. Man, that third line is so good.
Yeah, their
Cousins,
third
Lundell,
line is
Lundell.
unreal, but I can't get over how much I hate that second line.
Yeah, and they have Bennett out, and then I mean I don't think Hornquist is in their plans. He might be LTIR, but he's also out.
Right.
And then obviously Ekblad and Montour from their cup run are out, but that's relevant to the conversation right now.
And their goaltending has been dog.
Yeah, I mean, they got a good start out of. I don't know who they're gonna face. Bobrovsky, I think, had both starts in Minnesota and in Winnipeg. They were in
Yeah.
Winnipeg. They won Winnipeg last night, and I assume they traveled today. So maybe you get Stolars. It's their third and final game to start the season off on the road. So maybe you catch them. I mean,
Is Knight in the
maybe.
AHL?
Yeah, I think he's like
Oh,
conditioning or something.
conditioning
Yeah,
type thing.
yeah, because he was on
right,
relief or whatever last year. But
right.
maybe it's gonna be Stolars. I mean,
You know what's going to be funny?
what?
Nico Timo line is going to have again a negative expected goal share, but they're going to mostly neutralize the Kachuk line. We're going
I
to end
think-
up winning the game, and people are going to be pissed at Nico and Timo.
No, see that's where you got to be like, it's got to be give and take. It's like if they do their job well enough that you like neutralize them. Like yes, you want them scoring, but you have to remember like who Nico is, and like the reputation he now has. It's like being a sucky guy, and then Timo's more than capable of, I wouldn't say shutting down, but driving play the opposite direction, getting the other team to play defense. I don't know if they're like 45% or higher. I'm probably pretty happy about that.
I don't even know if they. I don't think they match up against the Kachuk line, considering who else is on it. I feel like they have to match up against Barkov or Reinhardt.
Right. I think. Well, I would hope it'd be Barkov because Verhaeghe, Barkov, Rodriguez is more than capable of ruining your day because they almost did that to Winnipeg last night.
Mhm.
So I think that's the way they go. And then Leinster for the sake of the conversation, we don't have to talk about them, but they probably have the slight advantage against ours. Cousins, Lundell, Reinhardt, I'd say so. But the question mark, I don't know. I didn't see line rushes this morning, but maybe you get Stolars because he hasn't played yet, and I don't know their schedule, but they haven't had their home opener yet, so they're going to be flying back to Florida, I'm assuming, after the game, and they probably don't want him going cold into the weekend, so maybe you get Stolars. Tired team, end of a road trip to start the season. Maybe they look ahead to their home opener, so maybe you can catch them on a bad day. But they have been good underlying. That's kind of the theme from last year too. They were good all season last year in terms of like the underlines, expected goals, all that stuff, and they just snuck into the playoffs and they kind of got negative regression to get to the cup. But it's kind of seemingly more of the same this year with expected results aren't matching the actual results so far.
Yeah.
Because I know they completely outplayed Minnesota and lost. So
No, yeah, it wasn't even close either.
no, I think Gustafsson had like a 40-something save shutout. So
Yeah.
if you're going to be asking, I think probably Vanacek starting tomorrow. If you're going to ask him to do that again, I don't know if it's going to go so well. So
Right.
okay, do we want to do predictions? First goal scorer or anything?
I don't know. I'll assume that he keeps rolling. I'm going to say Jack gets the first goal.
Yeah, I'm going to go Holtz. I think he's going to get one
Ooh.
finally.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Jack's the boring answer. I'm just going to keep saying the guy till it happens to Foley.
We didn't really like scope in on him, but I thought he had a strong 2 games as well. I think he has 2 assists to start the year,
Mm-hmm.
and he seems to be kind
It's
of blending
funny.
together well.
He there's one more. There's another topic I want to touch on before we wrap up. But I'm going with predictions real quick. I don't feel like when I'm watching again, one at the game, one at home, so I'm not fully trusting my eye test too much for half of this, but doesn't feel like he's doing a whole ton out there, but he doesn't need to when he's with Jack and Brett. But he has set up a couple nice passes and has been the trigger man for a few. They just haven't gone in for him.
Yeah.
But he's had a few good shots. I actually think it was one of his least likely to have actually gone in, but the fact he got the shot off was actually very impressive to me. It was in the Coyotes game. Jack basically had a pass from behind the net to him, slightly out of the slot, between like the slot and the faceoff dot, and it almost locked him up because it came in a lot tighter than he naturally would shoot from. But he still was able to get lift high glove side on the shot. Just didn't get enough on it because of how locked up it made him. But he still got elevation, and it would have gone in if the goalie, didn't get the glove on it. But
Right.
I don't think there's many other guys on this team that would have even gotten that shot away.
Yeah, he feels like a more offensively inclined, supercharged version of Palat, to me, at least.
I was going to say he just seems like a matured Mercer.
Really? I was going to say a matured Holtz.
All over the shop there. I mean,
Yeah, I don't see that dog in him like I do with Mercer, you know?
Well, he's got
Doesn't
less of a motor, but I feel like the shot's pretty similar.
One last thing I do want to touch on, if you guys don't have anything else. The power play units. We got this fairly unique setup, the quote-unquote 1A, 1B. Before I give my ramble, what do you guys think?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yeah.
I
think they swapped it because of the 1A, 1B. I don't even know if it was the second or the first pairing, but swapping Dougie in, I think it was late or midway through the Coyotes game. I don't know if he's on the power play with Jack and Brett, but the fact that they put him on because of a more of a shoot first mentality, that seemingly, I think, how they're going to go about things. If they want to move the puck around a little bit more, it's going to be Luke with the top guys. If not, it's going to be Dougie because Dougie has more of a shot than Luke does. Clearly,
I thought that was only the 5-on-3.
Maybe it was. There were way too many power plays to keep track of that in that Coyotes game. That game was a disaster.
That's another thing. I feel like the NHL has been just calling more penalties in all of their games.
Okay, so they did rotate Dougie in.
The season always starts out like this. It always starts out with a lot more calls, and then they taper off as the year goes on. The 5-on-3, in my opinion, was our true top power play unit.
Yeah.
That was Nico, Jack, Brett, Toffoli, Dougie. But the actual in-game 5-on-4 units they've been using are Jack, Brett, Luke, Palat, Toffoli, and then Nico, Holtz, Timo, Mercer, Dougie.
Yep.
Yeah, I have no problem with those. It's kind of a weird little thing that we're doing, but again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's humming. It looks
Yeah.
great.
I mean, my complaint would be I think Palat looks like the obvious out of place guy on his unit. I think you could replace him with Nico or Timo, and it probably would fire better. Luke's been dynamo, but Dougie, I think. I mean, they both. It's so hard to go between Luke or Dougie. I think they both have looked super legit on the power play, but Dougie's shot has definitely looked more threatening, obviously. But if I had to nitpick anything about it, well, my biggest thing I've been on is just load up the top unit, please, and do a more traditional power play setup, in my opinion. But if you got to do the split squad thing, if you truly want to try the split squad thing, I would split up Jack and Brett, as asinine as that would be to say. I just don't think that second unit, if you have to try this 1A, 1B setup, again, I think Jack Brett should be on the top unit with somebody that's not Palat, whether that's Nico or Timo. But if you have to do the split setup, those are your two automatic entry guys. And that second unit has struggled with entry and setup.
That's
And
the
with
thing.
Nico,
To jump to what you said earlier, like just let Timo do it then.
sure,
If
but
it's gonna be
I
a
actually
good
feel like
unit,
that's the one area that they have tried to do it in, and it has not been as effective.
Holtz did it a couple times and he
Yeah.
did a pretty good job.
I think
He's
I
done
would be
fine at
more inclined to switch Hamilton and Luke.
That's the way I would go because I don't think you can split up Jack and Brad.
And let
'cause they
Luke
just-
be the entry guy?
Yeah.
They just look too good together.
That might
Sure,
be a hot
and-
take, but
Honestly, that, like, again, sure, I would say do that. Switch Luke and Dougie, and then switch Palat with one of Nico or Timo. Probably Nico. And just run the top power play unit.
yeah,
Yeah, do Polar Rangers and just have them out there for the full 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or don't even. Honestly, I'm actually fine if they were to do it for like a minute 15 and then that second unit goes out, because then your second unit is Luke, Mercer, Holtz, Timo, Palat, or Hola, or whoever you want, whatever, face off situation. But yeah, I mean, it's cooking now, it's scoring, so they're not going to change anything. But when it eventually seems to run into some sort of snag, that's what you should do.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the beauty about being enough talent on the team. If it's like slightly busted, there's enough talent to just be like, okay, let's like switch one or two things and attack the production drop off or expected production drop off. It's not going to be different or
Right.
too crazy.
right.
So
All
yeah,
right.
no,
I got nothing else. That's my rambles.
last thing I just want to touch on because it is something I mentioned the preseason. Penalty kill looks not great. Ryan
Atrocious.
Graves. Ryan Graves is actually sorely missed. I'm sure it'll fix itself out. I'm sure they'll find a pairing that works, but currently, not great.
Yeah, I think it needs to be touched up.
Yep.
I don't really know what they would do other than a systemic change.
Honestly, really, it's been the just getting the puck out of the zone. I actually feel like they've done really good at holding off strong chances for about a minute. But the problem is that entire minute they are in the zone,
Yeah,
and then they
that's
get
fair.
really tired, which is gonna happen, and then you kind of get picked apart.
Yeah,
If you get one clear in that minute, get fresh legs on it, probably ends up looking a bit better. But yeah, that's really it. I think if you get the clears, it looks a lot better. So I'm not going to go too crazy on it until we get a bit more sample size.
that's probably fair. 2 games is hard to go off of.
Yeah, I just felt like it needed to be said because it is something I'm watching. So
That's it for me, boys.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
we're
think this is a
good.
good place to wrap it up.
Dub tomorrow.
Dub
yep.
tomorrow.
So hopefully
Five,
done tomorrow.
5-2.
And then we'll be back on Wednesday recapping the game tomorrow and then the upcoming game at Sounder. So we think we're all set for today.
Yeah. All right. Take it easy, everyone.
Later, boys.
Deuces.